The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome. This is Mujan, and I'm with Alberto here to present you what is Hacking House, what have we have been doing, and what are the upcoming events. So we're going to wait for a couple of minutes to see the other people to join us, and then we're going to start the presentation. We have so far. We had a lot of actually registrations this time. I think around 120, right? And we have already 21 people who have joined us. So by the way, don't hesitate to write us a message in the Q&A. We're going to open that at the end, basically. Also, you can ask to speak. So there is a hand icon on the right side of the dashboard, so you can ask to speak, so we can open your mic. Yeah, so hopefully we're going to be able to answer all the questions in the time that we have.
I'm opening the poll.
All right. So Alberto is opening a poll for you. Basically, we would like to know who you are, and we could adjust basically the presentation for you. So please answer to the survey who you are, and sélectionner une réponse is in French. It means that please choose one of the answers. So are you a student? Are you a young entrepreneur? Are you a company that who's not involved yet with Sigfox? Or you are an ecosystem partner or others? So thanks for your answers. Please answer to this poll until we have more people joining us. So we have now 25 people. And we're going to wait maybe for 2 more minutes, and then we're going to start the presentation. Thanks. Okay, guys. So we're going to start now. We have almost 30 people. I hope more people join us, so we can tell you all about the Hacking House. So again, this is Mujan. Nice to meet you. I'm the Hacking House program manager, and we have here Alberto with me, and Hacking House manager in the US, because last year we opened the US Hacking House. And we're going to tell you more about what are the next cities and upcoming events. So, so what is the Hacking House? Basically, the Hacking House is Sigfox Moonshot Lab, where ideas turn into solutions in less than 100 days. It's a program, almost 3 months, and the aim is to answer to the needs and the problems that corporations, technology companies, industry is facing today, and to answer them in a cost-effective and fast and proper way. So we do that with our breakthrough technology at Sigfox that allows us to create more devices and different new innovative solutions that is going to be tailor-made for that unmet needs. And we do that in the Hacking House. So it's a disruptive solution that we make it in-house with a pool of young talents coming from around the world and tackling those needs. All right, so what's our secret sauce? We do that with the help of our partners, our community, and more specifically with a network of schools that we have. Today we have over 250 universities around the world who are helping us to spread the word out and to source the top talents. These talents are not only students, but are also any freelancer, anybody who's young, passionate, looking for a new challenge. Either they can be startuppers or they can be anybody who wants to start a journey in IoT. So we have an intensive program to give a direct direction to these talents and help them with the training that allows them to get on board the technology, think wisely, and helping them to achieve their goal, creating something which is a proof of concept under 100 days. And we also have a network of mentors all around the world. Mostly we focus on local mentors in each city that we're launching the Hacking House to help us train this, basically our talents. These experts are not only from IoT or Sigfox, they are successful entrepreneurs. They are people who have already worked with corporations having the problems, or basically people who are working really in the makers communities and so on. All right, so just giving you an idea what are the different areas that we could focus and having projects at the Hacking House. You can see, for example, utilities and energy sectors. We have projects from smart buildings. It can be projects from retail, supply chain and logistics, manufacturing, smart cities, especially that is very trending today, agriculture, home and lifestyle, and insurance. And this is not only limited to these sectors, but this just gives you an idea what type of projects we can accept and tackle at the Hacking House. So Alberto is going to tell you more about basically these the projects. One of them was his own project last semester, and he's going to tell you exactly what was basically this solution that they worked on it. Okay, so just to give you a nutshell of how does it work exactly at the Hacking House. Imagine you're a client, so you have a challenge, you have a need for an IoT solution. You submit your project, your need at the Hacking House. We have an evaluation process for that. We help you to tailor your need. Then the project is submitted. So it comes to the Hacking House. We set up teams. We set up teams depending on the skill that you need for tackling the project. And basically, the teams are supposed to go through the market research, need analysis, and come in with a proposed brief for the project and do the prototyping. And the idea is to do that under 100 days in 3 months. During this period, as I said, we have training, mentoring, and the part which is prototyping. And there will be a variety of deliverables. So teams will submit a tech report, basically going through how did it happen, what are the better, comparable technologies, what are the alternatives, how does it work exactly, the thing that they have innovated. It will be a market analysis also, so more about the business plan, what is the ROI, how to market it, and so on, about pricing, and also the prototype. So there will be a number of prototypes submitted by them. And this, basically, this deliverable can be also an MVP. So it can be a minimum viable product that can be pitched, sold, or basically adopted by the client. We will have a live demo at the end to showcase these projects. Just going back to the previous slide. So this part was an educational part of it for the candidates. The other value for the client is basically if the project is submitted after 3 months, it's a proof of concept, of course. We will have a check. And then if it's a go from the side of the client, we help at Sigfox to go and industrialize it and launch it, go through the certification program, and so on. If for the client it's a no-go because they are testing it and they think that this is not the best solution, it doesn't matter because this process normally takes 18 months and we're doing it in 3 months. So it's also a win for the client, and we can go through a new brief, go through a new phase, and work on a better solution. Just checking the Q&A to make sure if everything is going fine. Okay, everything is fine. Let's continue. So this 100 days, how does it work? I would say it's divided by 4 phases. Phase 0, which is before the program, phase 1, 2, and 3. So phase 0, by the way, don't worry about all this information. I'm just giving you the explanation. You don't need to read all of that. I wanted to just leave this to show you how does it look like exactly the program. So phase 0 is almost a week before the start of the program, is where we help teams, help all these candidates to come in the hacking house and onboard on the technology and help them with everything they need to start working on the real project. Once they're on board, they know what is Sigfox technology, what's the project they're working on. They start 2 important phases. First one is a research phase. Before knowing what's the problem, they can't really create something. So they need to go through their market research, ROI analysis, customer need to know what to build. Once this 2 weeks, and it takes almost 2 weeks, once this phase, this basically part is done, and they need to start to prototype something. We call it fast and furious, fast and dirty. They work on something for 2 weeks to come up with something, some proof of concept to show, okay, so that's working, and that's basically the first idea. At this point, we have a checkpoint with the customer to make sure this is what they are looking for. This is, what is responding to their needs. So it's a crash test. At this crash test, what we do is that we go through all the points that we need to validate to move forward with a better iteration. Once this is validated, we move on to the second phase, which is longer, almost twice the first prototyping phase. 4 weeks to create some prototype which is personalized, and it had been tested on the ground with different let's call it lean and agile type of producing creation. And then at the end of this second phase, we have a more tailor-made project prototype that is going to goes by a second crash test. And once this one is validated too, that will be the last phase. So phase 3 is basically to make it nice, like we could call it make it shine. So it's a phase that we have the last and finalized prototype and ready to market. It can be the finalizing the prototype in a nicer way, making it like in a smaller size that is more adapted to the needs of the customer. And then the candidates, the teams will go through a process which is reporting, creating all the documentation, and to submit it basically to the client. And there will be a 1 week for presentation. So this part is also important. We help teams to know how to pitch it to clients, going through the presentation phase and demo day. So this is basically the 100 days of learning and doing. All right, so I'm gonna ask Alberto to explain you how did that happen exactly last year in Silicon Valley, because he was one of the participants of the Hacking House, and we are so glad to have him on board as the Hacking House USA manager. So I'm going to pass it to him because he saw it all in live. Go on.
Thank you, Mujan. Okay, so up to the adventure. So the last session of the Hacking House was hosted in Silicon Valley in California, and there were 12 of us out of 160 applicants. 12 of us were invited to go to 42 Silicon Valley, which is a software engineering school in California. A very varied group. There were 11 different nationalities. We were all completely different. We didn't know each other from before. And we were given 8 different projects, of which we selected 3 to develop throughout the following 100 days. Okay, so I'm going to present to you 2 of the teams that were executing these projects and what the projects were. So the first team was called Team Lali, and they built a low power wide area sensor, wireless sensor for wildfire detections. Okay, and what this system, the problem that they were given was that there was no quick, easy way to detect wildfires in California. Basically, when a wildfire starts, you have to wait until the satellite images or people notice the fire and somebody reports it through 911 emergency call, or until a fire department notices it. There's really no quick and easy way to know when a certain part of the mountain is on fire, or they're very expansive. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of square miles of forest in California. So they were tasked with using Sigfox technology to discover how can we solve this problem quickly, effectively, and inefficiently. And this is where the beauty of Sigfox comes in, because the company has the ability to promote the existence of very inexpensive devices. The communications itself is very simple and it's very inexpensive. So in a way, you could solve the same problem using, for example, GPS communications or cellular, but you cannot have the scale that Sigfox devices allow, because it basically, you have an economic constraint. It's very expensive. During our period, this team, which was by my friends Kevin, Nassim, and Jay, as well as Thomas, who is not in the picture, they visited, they did a trip with with a fireman. They went and met with the California Fremont Department of Wildfires. They were out in the woods at one point trying to discover what the problem, how does the fire propagate, and trying to get a better idea of the scale of the problem. And because one thing that's very important to consider about the Hacking House is this is not a project that you're going to solve being inside an office space. This is not a project that is solved in the workshop, but rather we have to go out, and you have to go out and get your hands dirty, and you have to really immerse yourself in the ecosystem, in the environment, and try to understand the problem from the root. Okay. Their solution involved partly was developing the telecommunication system and the dashboard. Here you can see the maps, just a small render of the map of what it would look like if a fire propagated, and basically what coverage needs to have, because their idea was to put Sigfox base stations in the forest, which communicate through GPS. They communicate through satellite to basically get out all the data from the Sigfox sensors. Okay. And their largest problem was, how do you make a system that is scalable, that is immense, that can solve these problems easily? Because it's very easy to do a small scale system, but it's very complicated for it to be large scale and to have the data presented properly and for it to be reliable. And this is one of their biggest challenges. In the end, they submitted the project to what was at the moment IBM's Call for Code, which is a global challenge used to, it's a IBM's global challenge where you need to use software and code to solve the world's global pressing problems. And the problem that they try to solve, obviously, was these wildfires. They submitted their project. They got selected, shortlisted for a variety in the top 15. And this is out of 2,500 projects around the world. This was a global challenge. And they got interviewed, their code got checked. And then by the end of the program, they had won third place. They won $25,000, but most importantly, they had the chance to share with the world and to get a lot of publicity for their own project. Okay, we'll see a little bit later where this project is today, and it's still ongoing. I'm going to show you my project next, which is Connected Seals. And the problem that we were given, it's that in maritime shipping, so shipping of containers through the ocean, there was a very low visibility when containers are opened. So in summary, you have a container and you send it across the world and you don't really know if that container has been opened or not. Okay. And this is a big issue because two things can happen. First of all, you have a security issue. So theft can happen without the client noticing. And the second thing is a lot of these containers, they're not entirely owned by one company, but rather they're shared. So if one company opens the container and doesn't notify the other companies, then you have your merchandise can be moved and it's at risk because it's not inside the container, which is in theory safe. Just to show you an idea of what our team looked like, we were two software engineers, one electronic engineer that was focused on hardware, and I was focusing on the business side. Okay. For this project, we determined that we had a total available market of 752 million containers, which is the global trade, how many containers are moved around the world every year. And our solution was to build one very simple device, which is used to lock the containers, called a container seal, and put a small sensor inside of it that can communicate on the Sigfox network. Okay? And most importantly, we need to make this economically viable. It's easy to make a device that's very expensive, but it's really hard to make a device that is inexpensive, easy to use, and therefore scalable around the world. Here you can see a little bit what our early prototypes looked like. It took us, I think, 6 or 7 different prototypes. We visited container freight stations. We visited the port of Oakland in California. We met with clients, potential clients that export and import a variety of goods. Some were importing coffee from South America into the United States. Some were exporting electronics out to South America. We even met with an exporter of granite, the rock. So you meet a lot of different people while you're out on the field exploring, trying to get to know the industry, trying to get to know the market, how it works, how it functions, because unless you understand what the need of the device is going to be and how it's going to be used, then there's no point in being at the workshop and being in, say, the computer designing a device that you don't really know if it fulfills the needs of the client. So it's very important to be outside on the street and learning about the project itself. You have to immerse yourself immensely into these projects. And you can see here the final part of our initial prototypes. We thought about doing cable seals, which are not, interestingly, they're not legal to be used in shipping. So we very quickly moved to using what was legal and authorized by the government so that we can, so basically that the project is viable, because if you do a device that it's not legal, then obviously it cannot be adopted. Our device was a simple bolt that locks into place. And what we did is we attached a tiny This is an Arduino Trinket with a lithium-ion battery and a WiSol Sigfox module, and try to get it into as compact as possible. You can see on the left here underneath where it says connected seal, this is actually our final prototype, and these were 3D printed and built. And today the device is in Dubai because one of the Sigfox operators in Dubai wanted to show it to a client. At the moment, this is the only device that we have, but if we are able to push this project into manufacturing, we would potentially achieve hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these tiny devices, and try to get them into almost. We would love for it to be on every container around the world. Being able for containers to say to their clients, "Hey, I just got opened." You're either, if it was in the middle of the night, maybe it's a theft and it's a security issue. But if not, it might tell you, "Okay, the container's open. Time to call the truck." So that we can go get the merchandise at the container freight station. So this is the beauty about Sigfox, is you are able to generate such varied, but at the same time such specific data that it can really solve what seems to be a minuscule problem, but it can have a very important value. We used a lot of electronics for our project, and we even bought our own 3D printer, which you can see on the lower side. We have Maria from the team building our 3D printer. We were all very excited. We used it a lot. None of us actually knew how to 3D print. So it was part of the learning process for the Hacking House. You don't have all the necessary skills to solve these problems. So it's either you lag behind or you go and learn the required skills. Okay. So where are these two projects now at the moment? I told you the Connected Seal project is actually adopted by Sigfox IoT agency. And the objective is to push it toward corporate clients and have the device manufactured. At the moment, we are not manufacturing the device because we're still showing it to potential clients. And the Lali wildfire detection is in development. It's in further development in Lyon by one of the team members, Nassim. I just spoke to him this morning, and he tells me they're planning on doing testing in the south of France and also in the island of Corsica, which has seen severe wildfires happen in the past years. Okay, so this is where it gets exciting, because now we saw what happened in the past, but let's see where we're going to have Hacking House programs this year. Mujan, do you want to take over?
Yes, sure. All right. Yes, so exciting news. We're going to, in less than a month, open the Hacking House in Taipei, exactly on March 5th. What we're going to do afterwards, okay, so basically we're doing that with our local partner, Sigfox operator Unavis, and the program will be until June 11th. Afterwards, we're going to have Hacking House in Paris and Hacking House in the USA. So in overall, we expect to have, this year, we expect to have more than 100 talents coming into the Hacking House, learning about Sigfox and IoT, and in 3 main cities, 3 main continents, and we're expecting to have 20 innovative projects. Okay, so next to slide. So yes, we're going to open the Hacking House, first Hacking House in Asia, which is going to be in Taipei in March 2019. And I'm going to move on to the next slide to tell you more about the important days. So opening ceremony is happening in March 5th. If you're around in Asia or in Taiwan, please come. It's basically, I can send you the private invitation. It's not still open to the public, but I can definitely send you all the invitation if you're interested. It's happening at 9 a.m. at DigiBlock, which is actually one of our partners. And we're going to kick off a winter camp, which is some sort of a hackathon happening on 5th until 7th. So what's the process is that all the applications that we received 95 applications from over 16 countries, and we are going to select a few basically candidates to join the winter camp. And for the winter camp, we expect to have between 30 and 40 people, so it's a huge population actually. And what is going to happen is that at the end of these 3 days of hackathon, we're going to define who are the winning teams to join the program. There's one exception for the international candidates. If you're international and you pass our online selection, we invite you to join the winter camp, and you will be enrolled in the full program, because we don't want you to come to Taipei, participate at the winter camp, and leave afterwards. This is an exception for the international candidates, that we're going to have an online process and interview. To thank our sponsors and to let you know who are our actual sponsors, we have Innobi as a local partner. We have SC Micro with us. We have a large support of government, local government, specifically IDB and DigiBlock, of course. And we also have the support of French Tech Taiwan, Business Next, Bureau Français de Taipei, and local funds and VCs Taiwanese, and connected to. Okay, next. So yes, as I told you, we're going to follow up the Hacking House seasons one after the other one, and it's going to be in June, Paris, where we are at the moment now, and it's going to happen in June. You're all going to be aware of that on our social media and on our website for the applications. So I'm going to maybe move forward with the next slide.
USA.
All right, so USA, do you want to talk about it, Alberto? Okay, hold on, let me myself. Great, go.
Okay, so as Mujan mentioned, we have announced Paris. This is the official announcement for Paris. We don't have the exact dates figured out, but it's going to start in June and it's going to be lasting for 100 days. So it should be June through September. And as you already saw, we're also announcing the second session of Hacking House USA, which is also going to start in June for 3 months. We are not yet defined the city. We haven't decided exactly where the city. We're in conversation with several of our partners, and we have different cities selected. You will be hearing about the city hopefully sooner than later, but the dates for June are still in place. Okay. And we want to throw another poll. We want to give you another poll. And just to get an idea of the students and the people who are interested in participating in the Hacking House, where are you most interested in doing it? We have Taipei, we have in the US, we have in Paris, or no, you're just more interested in learning about the program? I'll give you a little bit of time for this. So a little bit more information about the Paris Hacking House. It's going to happen in the Sigfox offices in Paris. So it's going to be very interesting to have all the Sigfox talent basically working right next to you. It's going to be an immense opportunity to work and see what the Sigfox life is. Then in the US, we're working with another partner which I can't announce yet, but if it goes through, it's gonna be working with basically what's called with one of the largest accelerators in the United States, and also with a large global manufacturer, which is gonna be supporting the program. Okay. And then Taipei, we also have a second session planned for this year, but at the moment we haven't decided the exact dates. But it should happen in the second or sometime in the second half of the year. So after this one finishes.
And Q2.
Yeah, sometime between the summer and the end of the year. We haven't decided exact dates. Okay, so we have here the responses. Thank you. And this is one last slide to tell you how you can get involved. Okay, so first, the candidates. We're looking for anybody who is interested in learning about IoT. They can be students, they can be recent graduates, you can be somebody interested in doing your own startup, you can already have your IoT startup running. Really, anybody who wants to do it. We're looking for motivated people. People that can dream, people that can come up with innovative ideas, people who are, most importantly, not scared of failing, because the program is not easy. This is not a school that you have a curriculum. This is an adventure that you have to figure out your way through the problems. We're also searching for companies that have IoT problems or want to develop IoT specific solutions in a very short amount of time, because these solutions can take years to develop. We're trying to solve these problems in 100 days. And it's a very intense, very inexpensive way to do it, because we're trying to accelerate the ideas into solutions so that we can get this value from IoT into companies as soon as possible. Also, if you want to become a mentor, we're always looking for people who can help us educate, who can bring ideas to the table. You can be a motivational speaker. You can be a brainstorm. You can run brainstorm sessions. Basically, anybody who is willing to give a hand to our class and our participants of the Hacking House, we're very welcome and looking forward to working with you. And finally, for partners, Sigfox partners, if you want to become part of the Hacking House adventure, if you have an idea, which I know you do, you just don't share them, but we'll very gladly consider them for the future Hacking Houses, the one in Paris, the one in Chicago, the second session. I said it. So if you heard, maybe you have an idea of where the US Hacking House is going to happen. But we have a lot of sessions happening, and we're always looking for projects. So we're very looking forward to hearing from you candidates, from companies who are interested, from mentors who want to help, and from also partners who are going to submit their ideas to us. Yeah. You want to say something?
I lost my session. You can just continue.
Yeah. So we're going to open thank you all for attending. We're going to open our Q&A session now. If anybody has any type of question, there are no stupid questions at this moment. We will answer absolutely anything. As just to back up, for those who didn't meet us or joined halfway through the webinar, Mujan is with me. She's Hacking House program for the whole world. She's the program manager, and I am the Hacking House USA manager. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. I can't see the questions here. Yeah, so I answered that question. So the question is, if this is going to be recorded later as well. Yes, it's being recorded and it's going to be shared. Let's see. I am from Edmonton, Canada. Are you planning anything in the future? Yes, so as I mentioned before, we're planning Paris and we're planning in the US. So potentially in the US would be very interested if you're from Canada. Second question, is it a full-time work or a few hours a week? In reality, it's full-time work. There's no way you can accelerate the solutions to these problems and become a vital part of the Hacking House if you're not fully invested in it. So yes, at the moment, this is going to be full-time work. Any remote program? We don't have anything remote planned at the moment, but if you go on build.sigfox.com, and that's build as in you're building something, we have a very similar path for the Hacking House, which is basically an online program where you can develop your own IoT solution and take it all the way to certification. So yes, there is a type of remote program. You can find it on build.sigfox.com. Okay. Yes, we have a few questions. So how do we select students? Okay, so this is a very good question. As I mentioned before, we are very open to any type of students. We're looking for talented people in somewhere in technology or business. So if you know hardware, if you're an electrical engineer, if you're a software developer, those are very important because obviously we cannot create these solutions without having the required skills. But also we're looking for business students, and business students are very important because there's no viability on the device if it doesn't have a positive ROI, if it doesn't have a use, if it's economically viable. Obviously, these are all skills of the business students. Do you want to say something?
Can you put it on? Hello guys, I lost my connection. Just wanted to add something about the selection process. So at the moment, we are in the phase of selecting the candidates for Taipei. Just to let you know, it's not only for students, it's open to anybody who's passionate, who's ready to devote 3 months of his or her life to come to the house, to work with others who are not necessarily from the same country or from the same background, but they're ready to challenge themselves. So you can be a freelancer, a developer, a business school, a graphist, a designer. You can be even an employee. We had cases last year. We had people who stopped their job, quit for 3 months, and they come. Yeah, Maria, our dear, actually she's
Kevin.
now one of the ambassadors. Kevin, he was sponsored by his company to come. So opportunities are a lot. So don't worry if you're not a student. It doesn't matter at all. So what else? Fully covered, accommodated. Okay, so about the accommodation and paid. Basically, the program is for free. Already, it's not paid, and we're not. It's not something we ask money for it. We give training for free. We give all the materials and everything sponsored by us. We have training from mentors, all the people you need to have to learn all this stuff. We also cover a minimum basically for living, which is transportation to the venue and some little pocket money for basically food, but that changes country by country with the regulation. So for instance, for this season in Taipei, we are covering a card, which is a transportation card, and also is for food for participants. We don't cover any accommodation. Last season we did that in the USA, but this season we decided not to do because of some internal decisions that we took. And we will tell you later if this will be happening again for the next editions. But as of now, accommodation will not be covered, but we put you in touch with our partners for accommodation in cities if we have such partners. And we are working on that to allow international participants joining us, because that's one of the things that we really care about. What else?
So how can you apply? So to apply to the program, you have to go on thehackinghouse.com. That's our portal. You can find all the information there. We're going to be opening the Paris applications relatively soon. And as soon as we have our location fixed for the United States, we're going to be opening the applications for the United States. At the moment, applications for Taipei are closed. So we have our pool of talents that we're going to select the future Hacking House members, the hackers of the house, as we like to call it.
Humans of the house.
Hackers too. Hackers.
Humans who hack.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're actually, the process is that they applied. All of them have received, most of them that we had the first review and filtering. Almost everybody has received too many cases to solve, depending on their profile. And once we receive their responses, we can actually invite them to join the program. And the deadline is February 14th, midnight Taipei.
Let me see if we have any more questions. Hi, so I would like to participate, but I cannot set aside 100 days. Could I participate as a mentor? So mentorship is designed for people who have a discernible skill that they can share with the humans of the house, so all the participants. There's a lot of variety of mentors. You can be a technical mentor, you can be a motivational speaker, you can be somebody to teach project management. If you have any skill that you're willing to share with the Hacking House, we are very welcome. Unfortunately, if you're a student, then the skills, unless you're very qualified, it might not be enough to share with 40 different people from all over the world. But we're always open, so feel free to contact us and we can see if you can be a mentor or not. Yeah. Hopefully you can. We're sure you can.
Actually, what I suggest is that just go on the Hacking House website and there's an email, hey@thehackinghouse.com, and you can send an email to express that you're interested in the mentoring. And there is a form that I can send you back so you can apply to become a mentor. So we are accepting mentors applications, and there's no actual deadline for that, so don't hesitate.
There's a question about paid trips. So we don't pay for flights to the location. We won't be paying tickets to come to Paris or in the US or to go to Taipei. But we do organize field trips during the Hacking House. So those are yet undefined, but it's very important that if you're going to be working with a team for 3 months and most of you don't know it, they're not going to know each other, you will have to spend time with each other outside the workshop, outside the co-working space, and in a very different environment than this work environment. So there will be trips organized to go to interesting places, try to get everybody outside of the house and do some teamwork workshops. But as I mentioned before, trips to the locations are not paid.
Okay, there is somebody asked, what should I do if I'm a student and I want to join the program? Well, basically, you can join the program, and if your school is willing to consider credit for that, we are happy to give you a certificate. After that, you participate in that program. We had cases for the previous season that we had I think we had 4 students. And basically, we had talked to their school, and they were part of their school partners, so they could actually pass some credits. But if you have like courses at the same time you want to participate in the program, it will be a little bit complicated because you need to like really be active during the program.
I think that's the majority of our questions answered. If you have any questions, send them now. Because we're slowly running out of time. Is there any limitation on trainee age or country of residence?
No.
No, there are no limitations at the moment. We do have issues getting visas. So it depends on where you're from and where you want to go, but that's a case-by-case basis. We had participants had to leave because of visa issues in the San Francisco session. Mujan couldn't visit us because she didn't get her visa.
Yeah, myself, I'm Iranian, and I had a difficulty to join the program myself as an organizer. So it's complicated in the US.
This is part of the real world. There are constraints that we can, and there are constraints that we can't work with. But obviously, for the program itself, no, we do not have any limitations on where you're from or what is your age.
Yeah, somebody else also asked, I'm a student from South Africa, could I join? Yes, I mean, everybody can join, but basically you need to apply for your visa and make sure that, everything is basically going on smoothly.
Yeah. Did many people send applications in Taipei? On Slack channel, I don't see much activity.
Yeah, the Hacking House Slack channel is not that active yet. We had opened it only to the participant. That's why it's not that active and we have private channels on that. We're going to give more dynamism to that. But yeah, in total, we had 112 applications and 95 were for Taipei, because at the beginning we had Silicon Valley open too. So for Taipei, we had 95 applications. That's the answer.
Of which 50, about half, is international applications and half are from Taiwan.
Taiwan, yeah. So we have 50% internationals who applied.
Okay. Right, I guess this concludes our session.
Grazie. Thanks a lot.
There are other questions that are sent that we will be responding to directly. Okay. And I guess thank you for attending. It's been great. We're very happy to share the Hacking House program with everybody. It's definitely an adventure that you want to have. For me, it was a life-changing experience. I had no idea what I got myself into. And I'm very excited to see that this year there are 5 different sessions planned around the world and that everybody can become part of it. It will be very exciting. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Just want to add last one word. If you are really, really devoted and everything, the opportunities are like basically the limit is the sky. And I just wanted to say that like when I was working with the teams on site and from far, obviously, it was really hard, and I could really count on each individual in the program at the Hacking House. And obviously, we have Alberto because of his devotion to the program and his leadership. Being honest, he was a great leader, and that's what we're looking for at Sigfox too. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, and don't hesitate to send us any questions if you have. We answer to everything. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you in Taipei, Paris, or in the US.
Yes, I do my best. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks a lot for your attention.